Hey everyone, and welcome to another presentation video. Now today I am here with a highly requested and long awaited video of what your person feels when you affirm. Now I did this one in the kind of pinkish reddyish colors in honor of Valentine's Day in a couple of days. So if you have some plans, I'm really happy for you and I'd love to hear what they are. And if you don't yet, don't worry, there is still absolutely time to make them happen, and hopefully this video gives you the confidence and clarity going forward to make them happen. But without further ado, let's just jump into it. Now, before I go into what your specific person feels, I want to give a background on what affirmations are and how they work. So if you're only here for the what they feel section, there will be little timestamps that you can find and go and sort of jump straight to that, and I'll see you there. But for everyone else, what is an affirmation? Well, an affirmation is a structured thought in sentence form that is either spoken out loud or in your head. So essentially, you are taking a thought and you are turning it into a sentence. For example, if your thought is of being in a relationship, if I was to say to you, think as though you're in a relationship, that might make it a little bit like, well, what do I think? What kind of things would I think if I was in a relationship? Whereas if I was to say, affirm you're in a relationship, it's very easy to just say, I am in a relationship. It's a thought of being in a relationship in sentence form. But the thing is that all techniques are some form of structuring your thoughts. Obviously, we've got affirmations, are spoken thoughts. You've got visualization, which are visual thoughts. You've got scripting, which is written thoughts. So the kind of main techniques that people make use of are just ways of structuring their thoughts. Any other technique that you may reference, 369 method, for example, can be done in written form, scripting it. It can be done in spoken form, affirming it. It could be done in visual form, visualizing it. So techniques are merely just a way of structuring your thoughts. So if someone says, think as though you're in a relationship, that means simply just thinking, if you can do it that way, or affirming, visualizing, scripting, 369, water in a cup, whatever it is that you're aiming to do. But affirmations, in my opinion, are the most versatile technique because you can do them anytime in any place. You can do them without feeling, you can do them with feeling, you can do them in your head, you can do them out loud, you can do them while in a conversation, just doing them in your head. You can say them with conviction. You don't have to worry about if the scene is grey or not. In my opinion, they are just the most versatile technique, which is why I make use of them to manifest everything that I want. But what are the purposes of techniques as a whole then? Well, in order to manifest, you need to embody the state of having your desire already. Think of this like a state of mind. If you, let's say, manifesting a specific person, there is the state of mind of not having your person, being single, that person doesn't want you, things like that. Now, that state of mind will create those outcomes because the thoughts that you have are passed on from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind through the state of this is my experience, and your subconscious mind gets to work making sure that is your experience. So in order to manifest what you want, you need to embody the state of having it by taking on that state of mind. So if you're currently single right now, you'll have a set of thoughts or feelings and actions that align with being single. If you desire a shift into having a relationship, whether generally or with someone specific, you need to embody the state of having that relationship already via taking on that state of mind through your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And of course, we've already determined that any technique you do is just a structured thought. So your visualizations, feelings, and actions, your affirmations, feelings, and actions, so on and so forth. So techniques are in place to help you embody the state if you struggle to just do it. So if I was to say to you, live in the end of having your desire, embody the state of having your desire. Some people will be like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to embody the state? How can I just live as though I have it? Whereas if I was to say to you, visualize as though you have your desire or affirm as though you have your desire, much easier to do. So the way that I see techniques is they are merely modes of transport getting you from point A to point B. From point A of not having your desire, being single, being jobless, or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, because remember this is generally, to point B, having your desire. So see them like modes of transport. Affirmations are taxis, visualizations is a helicopter, scripting could be walking. They're all just different modes of transports to get you there. Think of it like that. But how does the subconscious mind work then? How does it actually make things happen for you? How do you affirm and someone feels something? How do you affirm and that changes someone's thoughts or someone's beliefs or someone's whatever is stopping you from getting what you want? Well, your subconscious mind takes in the stories fed to it through your focus and creates your reality based on these stories. So, through your focus is essentially whatever is taking your attention, how you're thinking about something, how you're feeling about something, how you're acting about something, the kind of jokes you're making, whether you're, coming from a state of lack and panic or whether you're coming from a state of abundance and love. Whatever it is that is taking your attention and the way in which it is taking your attention is being passed on to your subconscious mind for it to amalgamate into the stories of your experience, and it gets to work pushing it out there for you to experience. This is why we say to keep a clean mental diet, or to be aware of how you're reacting, or to be aware of your thinking, or to ensure that you're staying consistent with your affirmations and such things. But the thing is that your subconscious mind, it doesn't discriminate or refuse either. It merely just accepts. So this is why, as I said a second ago, the kind of things you joke about have the potential to create. Even a joke, if derogatory to yourself or even positive to yourself, is an affirmative statement. Oh, I'm always unlucky, or of course it would be me that gets ill around Christmas. You are just affirming. You may be making it in a humorous way, but you are still affirming. Therefore, it has the potential to create. And this is why you'll see people constantly saying things like, oh, well, of course it would be me, or isn't that my luck? Well, no, it's not luck. You're just reaffirming that these things happen to you. So keep that in mind. But once impressed with a story, it will move your 3D reality and the pieces in it to create that outcome. So if you're currently single right now, or you're wanting a specific outcome from your specific person, by affirming that new story and staying super true and dominant with that new story through your affirmations or whatever technique that you're doing, you are essentially showing your subconscious mind, this is my new truth, or this is my current truth. And your subconscious mind, given that it doesn't question, discriminate, or refuse, will go, cool, let me get to work making that happen for you. And then it will become your experience. So before we get on to what your specific person feels when you affirm, I just want to kind of get into a little thing to say that I can assist you with your manifestation. I do have a small service at the moment where I will do a daily script for you, as well as keep you and your desire in my mind throughout my day. And a lot of people have had some really great results and have given me some really great feedback on this. So if you just want that little bit of assistance with your manifestation, down below is the link in the description to take you to that service. And I highly recommend you check it out because so many people have absolutely loved it. And for those of you that question the validity of it, if you assume it's going to help you, of course it is going to help you, because what you assume to be true will become true. So if you have the assumption that it's going to help, it will do. But with that done, let's get into the rest of this video. So what your person thinks, the big thing that we were wanting to discuss in this video, the reason you've all clicked on it. Well, as I mentioned in the sort of past sections, your subconscious mind is the creative power that essentially creates everything for you. It takes in those stories and pushes it out for you to experience based on those stories. It's the creative power that connects you to everything and everyone else. In a way, think of it like spiritual Wi-Fi. It's probably my favorite way to put it into terms. When you're connected to Wi-Fi in those moments, you are connected to anyone else in this planet or on this planet that is also connected to Wi-Fi. I could type in a random name on Instagram and I could find people with that username. I could type in the random email address and I could send an email to someone across the world. When you're connected to Wi-Fi, you are connected to everyone else and have the potential to reach everyone else. Your subconscious mind essentially does the same thing, except for it connects to everything and everyone else regardless. There's no if they're on Wi-Fi or if they're not. And you're always connected to everything and everyone else. So it's not like you turn it on and off. You can turn on and off conscious manifesting, but what your subconscious mind takes in and pushes out for you, you cannot turn that on and off. So if you're kind of like unsure about how it works, think of it like your subconscious mind connects you to a spiritual Wi-Fi. But this spiritual Wi-Fi is always on and everyone is always connected to it. And therefore, you can always make the adjustments necessary to your reality based on the stories that you are telling. So if you tell yourself a new story that you're now in a relationship, your subconscious mind will connect itself to everything and everyone else and move the necessary pieces to make sure that that relationship comes into fruition, including adjusting how your specific person would think. So due to your subconscious mind being like this, it's essentially playing a game of chess with your reality. And your specific person will think things in accordance to that chess move. So let's say, for example, that right now you are single and you're wanting Deborah from the office. If you're affirming things like, Deborah is head over heels in love with me, Deborah and I are in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship, Deborah is so lucky to have me in her life, I'm such an amazing person, and Deborah knows it, what will happen is your subconscious mind, once it has these stories impressed upon it, once it's taken the stories in, it will connect itself to the people necessary to getting you and Deborah in that position. In this case, just for the purposes of not over confusing it, let's just say the only variable that needs to be moved is Deborah. So what might happen is Deborah might start looking over at you in the office, and she might start thinking things like, oh, actually, he looks really good. Oh, I really like how he does this. He's actually kind of an amazing person. Oh, actually, I can't get him off my head. He's really, insert whatever it is that you're affirming. And your subconscious mind is essentially connecting to Deborah and providing her the story that you are claiming to be true, and she is thinking things in alignment to it. So if you're affirming a loving, passionate, committed relationship with Deborah, she might start looking over at you and thinking, oh, I wonder if he's actually, if he's boyfriend material. Oh, actually, I really like the way that he'd do that. I'd love to have him do that for me one day, or things like that. I don't know why I was speaking so weirdly, like seductively there. I wouldn't say it was seductively, but moving on. But you get what I mean. She'd start looking over at you and she'd start thinking things in accordance to your affirmations. Now, it may be exactly what you're affirming, word for word. She may be looking at you thinking, actually, he is amazing. I'd love to be in a relationship with him. Or she may be thinking things that are similar to it. Because as we've all experienced, we've had things that are our manifestations, but not exactly it. Still the same end goal, but not quite how we expected. And this could be the instance with her thoughts. It could be a case of she's looking at you and thinking, wow, he's really a great person. I wonder if he's taken, or I wonder if he's available. Still kind of in the same vein of, oh, he's actually amazing. I would love for him to do that for me one day. Same kind of end goal, different slight thoughts. So when it comes to what your person thinks and feels, because your subconscious mind makes things happen in the fastest way possible, what you're affirming may not necessarily be the best way to get you that outcome, but your subconscious mind will get you that outcome in the best way possible. So if it's a slight different thought, it's still going to be getting you to where you want it to be. So take that into consideration. Your subconscious mind is like playing a big game of chess with your 3D reality. It's moving the pawns, it's moving the bishops, it's moving the horses and the knights, and they're the same thing. It's moving all the pieces to get you to where you need to be. And in this case, what your specific person needs to think to get you, or to get them towards you in the way that you want, may be a slight little consideration thought of like, oh, actually, I wonder if he's available. That's the equivalent of the subconscious mind moving the pawn. And then all of a sudden, you do some more affirmations, and then it moves the rook, and then you do more affirmations. And before you know it, your specific person is having full-blown thoughts about being in a loving, passionate, committed relationship to you, getting ready to reach out. They reach out. The rest is history. So think of it like that. Your specific person thinks and feels things in accordance to what your affirmations are, or your visualizations, or your scripting, because obviously they're all just different ways of structuring your thoughts. But whatever it is that you are affirming, your specific person is thinking and feeling things in accordance to those affirmations, leading you down the path to bring them towards you in that way. If you're thinking that they love you, they'll begin to think about you in a more loving way. If you're thinking that they're attracted to you, they'll begin to start thinking and feeling more attraction towards you. So just kind of consider it like that. And then consider the the sort of game of chess where your subconscious mind is bringing them towards you. It's just making sure that the right moves are done at the right time to get you there in the right way. If they're right now, they might just be thinking about you in a more attractive way. But a week from now, it could be full-blown love. You don't know. All you do know is that if you're feeding the right story to your subconscious mind, you will get the right outcome. Now, as it says here, if you're thinking of loving thoughts, they will be thinking thoughts about you in alignment with that. So if you're thinking loving thoughts, they'll begin to start thinking and feeling loving things towards you, because they are picking up on what you are thinking based on your subconscious mind, connecting to them via spiritual Wi-Fi, and essentially giving them the download of what script they need to play out. But I have a personal example, because where would I be without being able to give you examples of where this has worked for me? Now, there's the one that all of you would have heard at some point if you've been on my channel for any length of time, of where Katie said that we were not compatible when we broke up, and while we were separated, I was affirming that Katie said thinks that we're compatible now, and when we got back together, that was one of the first things that she said. I asked her, I thought you said that we weren't compatible, and she said, actually, no, I've been thinking about it, and I really do think we actually are compatible, and obviously the rest is history. So that is just an example that I've told a million times about the person that I was affirming for replaying what I was affirming through their own thoughts and feelings. And as she mentioned in the video we did on the live on the membership, where she spoke about what she felt while away in that process while being manifested, she even said that it felt like it was her own thought. She didn't feel like there was any kind of manipulation or any kind of push toward something giving her that thought. She began to feel like we were compatible on her own accord, which meant my affirmation was being provided to her by my subconscious mind without it feeling like it wasn't her own thought. So your specific person will think and feel things as though they are their own thoughts, which means they will feel very much real for them, and it will bring them towards you in the way that they want. But I wanted to give another personal example, a new one. And this one is actually quite big for me because, as many of you will know, a couple of months ago, had a new baby. The other day, I think it was, we're on Monday now, so it would have been maybe last Wednesday. I was having a particularly bad day, in a sense of it just felt like everything was going wrong. I was navigating it as best as I could, but it just felt like, clients weren't going sort of as well as I'd hoped. And then it was like the kids were misbehaving. And then I was sort of like needing to do so much stuff. And I was getting a bit sort of overwhelmed, for want of a better term. And I remember Katie had asked me to hold the baby while she went off and did some stuff. And I remember getting quite frustrated with the baby because she was just getting really restless. Kate really needed to do something before she could take her back off me. And she was getting quite restless with me for whatever reason. She must have been picking up on my energies. And I remember getting just quite frustrated. And I remember feeling happy when Katie took her back. And this was one of the first times that I genuinely felt actually relief to not hold my own child, which at the time made me feel absolutely awful. I was like, oh my God, am I a bad parent? Like, am I a bad person? Apparently that's quite common for people. So I did a lot of research and stuff because it really did bug me. I definitely reacted to that feeling that I was having. But I remember sitting there thinking, I was like, you know what? I feel better because of what online says. Everyone says that it happens. You do just sometimes need a break, especially if you're having a bad day and stuff, because I'm very much involved with the baby. It's definitely not a Katie does everything and I do nothing. I'm very much involved. So I remember sitting there thinking, you know what? I feel a lot better, but I would love to hear Katie say something about it. So I sat there for about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Or I say sat there, I stood there because I was doing the washing up. I stood there for about maybe 10 minutes, just affirming over and over and over again, Katie knows I'm a good dad. Katie tells me I'm a good dad. Katie's so happy to be with someone who's such a good dad. Just things in that general vicinity. And then the morning after, Katie had a bit of a bad sleep because the baby kept waking up. So I took the baby downstairs and I sat with her while I did my emails, and I kind of did a bit of tidying and let Katie sleep in as much as I possibly could. And one of the first things that Katie said when she came downstairs was, thank you so much. You do not realize how much of a good dad you are. There are so many other dads that would have just let the mum get up with them and deal with the baby. But you actually took her downstairs, even while trying to work and trying to tidy, just so I could sleep. You do not realize how grateful I am and how much of a good dad that makes you. Completely, pretty much exactly what I was affirming for, exactly what I needed to hear. And it was just one of those instances where what I was affirming, Katie was clearly beginning to think, and she came downstairs and essentially told me. It was one of the first things she said in the morning. So that's a personal example of my own experiences when I've been affirming something and someone else has reflected that. And obviously there is the compatibility element that I spoke about as well, that I've spoken about in other instances. Now, I did put here theoretical example. I was going to give you guys some theoretical examples of how this could work, but I feel like I already kind of gave this with the whole Deborah from the office element, so I am going to skip this for now. If you do genuinely want another theoretical example, just comment it down below and I'll give you some more via the comments, but I just didn't want to waste your time giving more theoreticals when I can obviously just give you more explanation. But one thing that I do get asked an awful lot, which I addressed slightly in my video of this that I did last year, but not sort of massively, was what if they don't know you? How can they have thoughts about you when they don't even know you exist? And this is actually a very interesting topic, and it's one of those ones that I've actually personally paid a lot of attention to to actually give you a very good answer. Because this comment was commented a lot on my video last year, and since then I've been trying to keep more of an eye on instances where people I don't know have reflected what I've been affirming for. So it is of my experience and of my opinion that if they don't know you, the only variable that will change is the thoughts that they have. Now remember, your subconscious mind is still going to be providing them a story, but like I said a second ago, it provides them a story to get them to where they need to be in the best way possible. So while you may be affirming things like they love me, they're head over heels in love with me, they're lovely relationship and things like that, they may not necessarily be the thoughts they'll be having yet. But what they will be having is thoughts that will lead them to the position where they can get to know you so that those instances can become true. But hear me out. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to believe that straight away, but I've got some examples and some more explanation that will hopefully give you the clarity on that. But like it says here, remember, chess is a game of forward planning. You don't aim to recklessly check the opponent, you aim to meticulously checkmate them. Your subconscious mind is doing the same thing. When bringing your desires in, when you actually get them, and many of you will be able to agree with me, the actualization of your desire is far better than you could ever have imagined. The way that it works out, when it works out in the best way possible, is far better than we could ever imagine. And that's because your subconscious mind is making things happen in the best way possible. It's playing that game of chess to checkmate. It's not just constantly banging out crappy desires for the purposes of checking, if that makes sense. Hopefully the chess analogy is making sense to you guys. If not, I do apologize. But because of that, there would be that weird element if they were to just begin to think, oh, I love this person that I've never met before. It wouldn't really flow very well. But if they begin to thinking things like, oh, you know what, I actually genuinely really do want to try dating again, or I really want a girl that's 5'3" with brunette hair, or something like that, whatever it is that kind of would bring them towards you, your subconscious mind will begin to feed them these thoughts to get them to where they need to be to meet you or to be interacted with you. And then from there, that's when they'll start thinking things like, oh, actually, that person that I met in the bar the other day seemed quite nice. Oh, they gave me their number. Oh, maybe I'll drop them a message. Oh, I can't stop thinking about them. They were actually that 5'3" brunette that I really wanted. And then they'll start having those thoughts that are in accordance to what you are affirming for. But your subconscious mind first gets them to where they need to be to then get them to where they need to be in relation to your desire. If that makes sense. Your subconscious mind gets them to where they need to be to find out about you, and then that's when all of your affirmations and thoughts and visualizations and such will actually be a lot more reflective, in a sense of they'll think things in alignment to those thoughts and not just things in alignment to getting to meeting you. But your subconscious mind will make it happen. It just needs to abide by physical matter, to abide by the physical matter it is working with. Like I said a second ago, if they don't know you, it might be a little bit trickier, I suppose, for them to just have thoughts about knowing everything about you and being deeply in love with you. But once they get their eyes on you, then they can start having those thoughts, then they can start having those considerations. Now, I know there's going to be some people out there that say, oh, well, you know, the 3D doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. And yes, you're right, the 3D absolutely doesn't matter. But there are elements of the 3D that do still need to be abided by, i.e. the laws of physical matter. If they are currently in China right now and you are in the US, you could not expect them to show up at your door within 5 minutes. It would be physically impossible. So your subconscious mind has to work with that and make things happen in accordance to what is physically possible, as well as making things happen in the best way possible. So consider that. But here is a personal example. I was waiting for it to come up because I forgot whether I did theoretical or personal first. But here is a personal example of when I've actually manifested someone that I didn't know saying something in accordance to what I was affirming for, and it kind of stood out to me. So it was about 2 weeks ago, actually. And these are all these are all recent examples because I like to try and keep my examples fresh. While obviously, yes, I can use ones from 2 years ago when Katie and I were broken up, I want to show you guys the progression and the different examples and stuff. So this is why this one's also 2 weeks ago and the other one was last week. I think it was about 2 weeks ago anyway, I can't remember. But essentially, I was affirming things about myself as a coach, affirming things about the growth of my channel and stuff like that. Obviously, conveniently worked with that. If you're in no contact, no problem video that I did exceptionally well. Massive growth on the channel. So even just that in and of itself is a manifestation success. But I was affirming things like, I always hear how good of a coach I am. I'm one of the best coaches out there, and I always provide helpful information. People are constantly telling me how useful my content has been. People are always telling me how much of a difference my content has made for their life. Just things like that, just general affirmations. And I started to affirm that I specifically heard from someone. Not, I didn't have like someone specific in mind, but I started to affirm, today I have heard just how much of a difference my content has made for someone who had never heard of me before. And the kind of idea that I had in mind was that it was new subscribers, new people, because obviously I have the consistent followers. I have the people that have been following me for a long time that constantly tell me, your content is like really helpful for me. I love watching you and stuff like that. And I absolutely love every single one of those comments. But in that moment, I was kind of feeling like seeing someone new say, look, this has made a big difference for me. I really love this content kind of thing. So I started affirming for that. And literally, I don't know how long. It wasn't as quick as the Katie one, that's for sure. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 days later. I think it was actually with the no contact video, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember what video it was. I probably should have looked before I even come up with the this section to actually, be more accurate with it. But I had a new person that I'd never recognized before saying that they were drawn to their YouTube and saw a video of mine pop up that they just felt like they needed to click on. They clicked on it and they said that it made everything click for them. And since then, or since watching that video, and this is paraphrasing their comment, obviously, but since watching that video, it has made a massive difference for them. Pretty much all in alignment with what I was saying. I was affirming for basically having a new person essentially showing up today. Obviously, it didn't happen today, so that part of the affirmation didn't quite work out as according to plan. But essentially showing up and telling me how much of a difference it had made and that they were a new person and such things. And then a few days later, I had someone literally saying that they'd opened YouTube, drawn to one of my videos for the first time ever, needed to click on it, and it had made everything click for them. And it was essentially someone that I didn't know reflecting the exact affirmation that I was saying. Or someone that didn't know me, I suppose. I didn't know them either, but they didn't know me. They said it was the first time seeing my thing. And that was the reflection. They gave me exactly what I was affirming for. So that was an instance of a personal example. And I'll admit, it's quite hard to find personal examples of people that don't know you coming to you, because obviously I get presented to them first via my YouTube. But I suppose you could consider anybody that finds my channel didn't know me and my subconscious mind was making it happen. But that was one where someone had actually outright said, this is what happened. I didn't know you. I saw your video, was drawn to it, came over. So personal example there. But click over, please. Why is this not clicking? Sorry. But a theoretical example. And I am going to give the same one that I gave in last year's video, because I think it's a very good theoretical example. But let's say you know someone, you've seen someone in the street that you think is very attractive, but you've never actually spoken to them, you've never come up with them, you've never done anything to do with them, but you're affirming for them. They don't know you, so how are they going to have thoughts about you specifically? Well, if you're residing within the end result, or residing within the space of love and adoration, or whatever it is that you're wanting to affirm, they may end up having thoughts along the lines of, like I said earlier in the other example, I could really settle down with someone. I could really do this with someone. I could really do that with someone. Or I really want a 5'3" brunette, or whatever it is. But another example of what they could think is something like, you know what? I fancy a change of scenery tonight. And they might just change the pathway that they walk home, causing them to bump into you, causing the rest to be history. Now, what has happened there is you've told your subconscious mind that you're in a relationship with this person, or dating at the very least, because you might not necessarily want to be in a relationship with someone that you don't know, but let's just say for the purposes of this, dating them. You've told your subconscious mind that you're dating this person. Your subconscious mind has gone, cool, we're dating this person. Let me make it happen. Now, of course, if they don't even know you, there needs to be that transition into getting to know you to then actually date. You can't date someone that you don't know. You can't have a mutual dating instance and not know each other. So what your subconscious mind does is it gets in their head and says, go this way. They walk down a different route, and that causes them to meet you, which then the rest is history. Now, while you may have been affirming dating, loving, relationship, or whatever it is that you want, your thoughts, your subconscious mind being connected to spiritual Wi-Fi has connected to them to get you to that point. And by doing so, it's convincing them, or it's providing them thoughts of going down a different route, or trying out a new pub, or trying out whatever it is, causing them to bump into you. Maybe they have something that they need to do and they really need a lawyer, and you just happen to be a lawyer, and they call your number. The rest is history. There are obviously a million of theoretical examples that I could give you, but this instance is something to take into consideration. If they don't know you, they must get to know you, and your subconscious mind will take in your thoughts and push out an instance that leads you down that path. Remember, there's a bridge of incidents, bridging the incidents together to get you to where you need to be. So, if they don't know you yet, the thoughts that you are affirming or the things that you are affirming will be passed on to them in form of you should go down this path, or you should want someone that is kind of like this description, i.e. yourself. They go down that route, or they start looking up dating apps and looking for those specific people, or whatever example that you would like to give that causes them to meet you, and then the rest is history. They then start thinking about dating you more. They then start thinking about how attractive you are. They then start thinking about a relationship, opening up to an idea of a relationship, reflecting those affirmations. But in order to get to that point, there must first be that bridge of incidents that leads them from not knowing you to knowing you. But you can take comfort in knowing that if you are affirming, they will get there, because your subconscious mind is connected to them and makes it happen. But this does work both ways. And I've saved this part for last because I want it to be the final thing that you remember, because it is so important. So far, I have only spoken about the positives of what your person thinks, about how it does go the route that you want it to go, or how they will reflect that. But just like with anything, there is a dark side if you're not careful. As I've mentioned, the subconscious mind pushes out the stories told to it. So if you are thinking like crap, you run the risk of creating the crap thoughts for them. If you start thinking things like, oh, I'm not good enough, or they're too stubborn, they don't love me, they don't this, or they'd never be with me, then you run the potential of that being the thoughts that they have. Just the same as if you're thinking the positive things, they'll reflect that. If you're thinking crap things, they'll also reflect that as well. So you owe it to yourself, whether you want them by Valentine's Day or if you just want a relationship with them, you owe it to yourself to stay consistent with only affirming, visualizing, scripting, thinking from the end, acting as if, satsing, whatever it is that you're doing, because remember, they're all just modes of transport. You owe it to yourself to only, or as vigilantly as possible, think things in accordance to having your desire. Remember that it could go both ways. So if they're showing up for you in an undesirable way, just maybe stay a little bit more vigilant and aware to see, have you been affirming the right kinds of things? Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has been a good video for you today. I've loved having you here. I'm going to look forward to all of your amazing comments. Obviously, I can assist you with your manifestations through the service, the scripting and sort of thinking service. Or if you need one-on-one coaching to aid you in your manifestation, I do have that as well. I also do have the gold membership tier, which offers a 10-minute call, as well as members only live stream access, as well as free worksheets, 30% discount, free routine, free daily planner, and tons of other stuff. So I highly recommend you check that out, because it will seriously help you with your situation, and all the other members on it at the moment absolutely love the service. So I highly recommend you check those 3 things out, and I'll catch you lovely people in the next one. Bye-bye.